reason I scan stuff in grayscale is if you scan it in color, you get a lot of dirt on your page, and you can't really see it this close, but you get a lot of pixel noise as well, like static. You get loads of purples and pinks. You don't want that. You want it just nice black and white. So always scan it in grayscale if you can, or the first thing you do, change it to grayscale, and then as stupid as it sounds, change it to grayscale, and then turn it back to color because you're forcing all the color out of the image. So this, like the scan for this has worked pretty well. So all you do is go image mode, and we're going to change it to RGB color, which is red, green, blue. So computer monitors. Before we do that, I'm just going to check the levels. So if you go image adjustments, just go into your levels. Now, oh, I want a bloody empty layer. Right. So when you're using Photoshop and stuff, you are smarter than this software. All right. It doesn't seem like you are, but at the end of the day, you've got eyes, and you can tell when something looks better and when something looks worse. Right. So anytime you're in here, my best advice to these artists is just use your eyes. So no matter what you're tweaking, just have it in your head about what you want to do. So I'm thinking some of the lines in this are a bit too faint. I want to darken them up. So it doesn't matter what slider I'm on. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm just looking at the image, and I'm trying to get it till I'm happy with it. All right? And that's why a lot of times I don't remember what setting I've used because I'm just using my eyes. Because that's the way an artist works. It's just using your brain, just use your eyes. And whatever way you do it, that's what matters. The awkward thing is you guys have to do reports, and evaluations, and it says like, tell us what tools you used. And it's like, oh crap, I can't remember. And I've done it the same thing. Like I've worked on Photoshop for hours and hours, and then I'm like, I don't remember half the stuff I did because I had my headphones on, I was just working. If you can screen capture at home, if anyone's got the ability to screen capture with your graphics card, it's the best thing ever because then you actually remember what you did, and then you can use it again. So I'm happy enough for that. I'll just hit OK. So what we're going to do is just go to image mode, change it to RGB color. And straight away what I'll do now is I always duplicate this layer. Okay, so again, it just depends what way you guys use Photoshop. You can right click on it, choose duplicate layer. You can go to layer, duplicate layer, or what I find the easiest way is I just drop it on the new layer button down there. So it's 3 ways you can do it.
I think there's another one on PC, it's like Control J.
Control J, and the way I remember is like duplicate, just mispronounce it, like so J, so Control J will duplicate as well. Command J should be the ultimate. Yeah, Command J. It's like, and then you guys find the way that works for you, stick with it. All right. So I normally duplicate that, and I turn off the bottom one. That's my backup. So if I balls this up monumentally, I've still got my line art. Okay. So if I draw on the wrong layer at some stage, I can always go back and use that. What I do then is lock the top one, and we're going to paint underneath it. Okay. So before we paint underneath it, all I want you to do is change that blending mode to a thing called darken, and then lock it. So now when I paint, I'm never going to paint on that layer. I'm always going to paint underneath it. So if we start thinking about, let's go to a brush tool, and we'll go with bigger brush. So we start thinking about, say, the sign that Leah's drawn. So here, ideally we want this to be, I'm guessing, kind of wood. Right, so start putting down maybe like a little base coat for this. When I paint now, I'm painting on a totally separate layer. Okay, the line art, because of that blending mode being set to darken. Basically what darken is, it's a maths equation that tells Photoshop anything that's got a white pixel becomes transparent, and it looks through to what's underneath it. It's very complex math, does it? I just know darken. It makes it darker.
Screen is the opposite, it gets rid of black.
Yeah, so it's like all those there are based on like formulas, but it translates to us as color. So what you'll do is you'll find certain ones will do like really cool things. So if you had an image that was all dark and you want to get rid of it, just screen. Lighting will do the same thing. Like lighting does the opposite to darken. So what we can do now is we can paint on this, and we don't need to worry in the slightest about messing up our line art. We can keep like that really kind of nice, like authentic kind of hand-drawn stuff that we have in there. And then we can kind of block it out. So the reason I do it this way is if a designer comes to you then, or say like you're thinking about the hierarchy. So if I'm a junior artist, who's going to be in charge of me?
Artist.
Artist, yeah. If you're an artist, who's in charge of you?
Lead artist.
If you're a lead artist, who's in charge of you? Art director. Oh, somebody learned something. Boom. Right. If someone up that hierarchy comes along and goes, that wood's too dark, you don't have to worry about mucking up a whole image. You just come to that layer there that's got your paint on it, and I'll go, right, so what's the problem? Because it's too dark, and I go, all right, okay. In English language, to me, that means I need to make it brighter. Just image adjustments, brightness. And then now when I do the brightness, it's only affecting the brightness of that wood layer. It's not mucking about with my lines. It's not mucking about with anything else. So what it's called is, it's hard for me to explain. It's called non-destructive editing. So you're never destroying anything. If I started painting on my line art, I'm destroying that layer, like I'm mucking it up. So this is how you kind of use Advantage. So the way I normally do it is base coat first, like a real kind of block color, just to get the ball rolling, and you can change it later on. And I would name that. So sign base maybe, right? On top of that, then we'll go, right, let's start thinking about shadows. So what I do is grab your eye droplet, get a sample of that, and we're going to go down the color palette. So straight away, always think in terms of like real life. So where's the light? Okay. And you know, some people do this in their drawings. Like a lot of my mates when they draw, like my mate Nick's an awesome artist, and what he'll do is straight away on his page, he'll do something daft like that. And it seems stupid. It's like, why is he? It looks like a kid's drawing. It's just so Nick always remembers where the light is in the scene. So the light's there, and I'm going to start doing like shadows. So say we're going to go with a very dark brown. We now know where it's going to be dark, so everything the opposite of this is going to be dark. So maybe like we'll do some shadows down here. So we'll go with like a low opacity. So like use the fact that you're using software to your advantage. Like don't always feel you don't have to draw the way you draw in real life when you're in software. You can cheat. Like so, I might find it hard to do a like a light brush stroke in real life, but if I use like low opacity in software, I can make it look a lot better. So anytime there's a dent here, because Leah's done like some nice kind of dents, we can start blocking in like little lines of darkness as well, because you think about the light would disappear in those. Okay, so you really slowly build them in. Opposite of shadow. What do you think we call the opposite of a shadow? Any ideas? Think in terms of people getting their hair done.
Clear. Oh, no.
Someone gets their hair made brighter. What do they get in? Highlights. So shadow. So all you need to think about when you're doing your art, guys, is base color. What's the normal color of it? What's the shadow color? What's the highlight color? And it works the same for game engine stuff as well. So now if we think, right, the light's up here. So in terms of the sign, it's going to be hitting here. Like you're going to get a lot of highlights there. Make it like some little highlights spilling down there. Again, if we have a graphics tablet, we can do like this a lot more like kind of detailed. Right, and then maybe that's it, or maybe there's a little bit of light bleeding on there. So you see the before, and that's after, and it's like a little. It's what 5 minutes extra work. It's that little bit of thought. So then, if someone turns around and says, "Your shadows are crap," it's like fair enough. I'll get rid of that layer for you. That's fine. So you're kind of cheating. It's like doing old school art, but you're using software to kind of be better at it. So like that's why Pixar is so good. They're artists, but they use technology. So you can build it up in little bits. And if you're not confident on something, like do it on a different layer. If it goes wrong, just bin it. So when I'm coloring like a character's clothes, I'll do a shirt on one layer. I'll do like the trousers on a different layer, their shoes on a different layer. And then if I get it wrong, it's like I'm not losing everything. I'm just going back and I'm just deleting it. Just modifying that. So then if you turn around and say, you know what, we do definitely need to change that. We can just image adjustments, brightness, contrast. We can change the base color of the sign. Right, like we can change it whatever way we want. And again, all I'm doing is using my eye. Like I just want to see. Like, and that's like one layer of shadows. I would paint on those shadows for ages. Like I would normally spend about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, building them up slowly and going in the direction of the wood. So if it is a wood effect, you want to start putting in like different tones of wood, because obviously wood's not just all one solid color. You get like grain in it. So what you might want to do, start building in like little shapes, little kind of spirals and stuff along it. That's that on its own, and then once you're happy with it, then we can move that onto like its own separate page. So the way I do it kind of a little bit different from other people. I like to kind of color everything in big chunks, like a whole page at a time, and then I like to arrange it then afterwards. Okay, so what we'll do this afternoon is I'll show you quickly how to arrange it. All right, but that's kind of roughly the setup. So as long as you guys remember, change the color mode first of all, the RGB. Duplicate those lines, because if I do like end up painting on this by mistake, this layer here, or I end up binning it, I've still got a backup. I've always got that little bit of safety. But if I balls it all up, I've still got my lines sitting in there. Set the top layer to darken, lock it. The reason I lock it is so I can't make that mistake. I can't paint on it, and then use the fact you've got all the layers then to your advantage. Right, does that make sense?